You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
3, 2, 1.
We are gathered here as advisors, as scientists.
The kind of place we expect a ghost to like to wander around.
Hey, we all know that we're going down, baby.
I'll help you. I'm something of a witch.
Welcome, everybody, to Mission Spooky. I'm your host and your local cryptid enthusiast, Cord. With me today, like usual, is the queen of everything, Kiki, and the Mushroom Maiden, Kayla. How are you guys doing?
Today is April Fool's Day.
April Fools!
I was kamikazed by a deer driving home from the wildlife center. Isn't it ironic?
I don't think that was in the Alanis Morissette song.
No. I was driving home from the wildlife center having a pretty great day, and I had fed a pecan to a groundhog, and that was pretty cool. But I went home, and I'm driving home, and when I tell you I was driving the safest I have ever driven in my fucking life, I wasn't on my phone, 2 hands on the fucking wheel, going the speed limit, not eating, not doing anything distracting, driving along this fucking wall, like this hill that leads up into a meadow, and all of a sudden, from up in the sky, comes a deer, head first down the mountain, directly fucking through my headlight. Just dead on impact, right through the headlight of my fucking car that I just spent a very large amount of money to get fixed last week.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So if the universe could just turn around and go, April Fools, your car's not fucked, that'd be great.
Kayla's recovering from dive bombing deer. I'm recovering from being incredibly sick.
This is
Yes.
the thanks I get.
You're right. You're just trying to help wildlife, and the wildlife's like, fuck you, Kayla. We don't need your help. As a matter of fact.
For giving flea treatments to squirrels, this is the thanks I get.
I'm assuming
Apparently.
that it did not survive, but
No.
Okay.
And I'm very glad that it didn't, because
Right.
I would have had to then kill it.
no, yeah. Oh, no.
Every single time that deer has hit my car, I literally get out of the car ready to fight the deer, and it just gets up and runs away. I go, "You son of a bitch," as I shake my fist at it. So anyway, April Fools. Yeah.
So this is an episode dedicated to April and things that have happened in April, and some of them have happened on April the 1st. And some of them just happened like in early April or just April. So I just want to say the word April like as many times as I possibly can. We're going to drive it home.
Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle character?
April.
There you go.
I thought I'd start out with some just basic historic events that happened in April.
Starting with my birth. It was a terrible Tuesday in April during a horrible ice storm. No, I was born on the 13th. I don't care.
Oh, sweet. A lucky number.
Every now and again, I get a Friday the 13th birthday. My English teacher in high school was a very superstitious Irish woman. And she would not even recognize the number 13 when we had tests. It would be 12 and 12B. So, she always said that I was a curse or a jinx. That did wonders for my self-esteem.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet that really lifted you up in those trying times.
All right. Well, let's go over a few of the more important dates in April that happened right here in the United States. We've got the battles of Lexington and Concord, April 19th, 1775. Do you remember your history lessons and how important that was?
Vaguely. It's been a while.
It had a lot to do with who was going to build the bigger juice factory.
Now that's canon in my mind. That's what it
It's
is.
fantastic.
The only thing I remember about my history class right now, after just destroying my brain for all these years after graduating, is that the 1 year in history class, we started it by listening to We Didn't Start the Fire. And my history teacher basically said, yeah, that's about what you're going to learn this year.
So these are the engagements marking the beginning of the American Revolutionary War.
Right. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's also the day is commemorated annually as Patriots' Day in Massachusetts. And then we have this is very interesting actually. It's Pennsylvania based in a way. It's the first meeting of the US House of Representatives in April 1st, 1789. The inaugural first full meeting of the U.S. House of Representatives takes place in New York City, which was the nation's capital at the time. And Frederick Muhlenberg of Pennsylvania was the first Speaker of the House. I bet his house is probably maybe haunted. I'll have to look into that because his the Speaker of the House. That's funny.
House.
The establishment of the Library of Congress happened in April of 1800. That's pretty cool. The invention of the dollar sign in 1778.
Someone accidentally trying to doodle the cool S.
Yeah.
Guys, check out this S. It's perfect. What should we do with it?
What represented the dollar before that?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
Just 2 lines.
What is this, a podcast about money?
I mean, you brought it up.
I'm just saying fun.
What is this, a podcast about history?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are the ghosts?
Get into the ghosts, okay? Of course, the American Civil War started on April 12th, 1861.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I feel that one, definitely.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're laughing for a reason. Okay, so
it's a bit of an important fact, yeah.
Yeah. Then, of course, the launch of the first U.S. weather satellite was in 1960, April of 1960. Very cool. And how can we forget that just last year we had our April nor'easter, which impacted pretty much most of the Northeast, bringing heavy snow, rain, and high winds and power outages that sucked.
Refusal for winter to just give the frick up already.
I know. I'm sad that might go that way this time too. I was like, we have fall spring going on right now, where yesterday was 55 degrees and today's 35. It's like,
and the day before that was 70.
Yeah, fall spring. We're in the middle of it.
April Fools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really what I think it should represent at this point.
So you were an idiot to think you could turn your heater off at this point.
Well,
right?
Listen, assholes. The groundhog told you it was going to be cold again.
And we're going to do a whole episode on that because that's witchcraft.
You did not respect the hog.
Are we going to learn groundhogese when we do that?
Sure. That's an upcoming episode. More fun things. This is like the extra fun stuff. So April is National Jazz Appreciation Month.
Hell, yes!
Yeah. Who's your
Sign
favorite
me
jazz
up, brother.
musician?
My favorite jazz musician?
Yeah.
John Coltrane, probably.
Oh, nice. Good pick.
Old school sax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like bebop. Is that a jazz? I don't know jazz. He might just be from Barney.
I would say honorable mention Cab Calloway.
Okay. All right.
I'm a big Cab Calloway fan.
Oh, wait. I got it. That guy from that Disney movie.
That guy from that, it's like half of all Disney movies.
I like Joe.
Joe?
Yeah, he plays the piano.
From what Disney movie?
Soul.
I didn't watch that one.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I have to go watch
Oh,
that.
it's fantastic. It's a wonderful little movie.
I'm definitely old school jazz. I don't like the new stuff. My husband plays jazz, so he likes the old and the newer stuff. And I'm kind of grew up with like Billie Holiday, Miles Davis, Duke Ellington, Thelonious Monk. You know, I'm kind of like in John Coltrane, like you said.
I'm a miserable human being, so I don't listen to music because it gives me no joy.
Wow, man.
Yeah. No, I listen to people talking at me all day. That's all I listen to, and it drives my husband insane.
If I don't listen to music at least a little bit every day, I feel like I'm actually going insane.
Yeah, me too.
The only music lately, I have been listening to a lot of Cosmo Sheldrake. But that could also be because he plays a lot of nature sounds in his music. So, I can listen to ambiance or really, really, really loud, obnoxious bagpipe music.
That's an ambiance.
As a Scorpio, I think my fellow Scorpios will get this, that we all have like a playlist for every feeling, emotion, what we're doing. I have a special one just for gardening. I have one that when I have to destroy things outside, like, cut things up. Mostly that's like German industrial music. I have one for when I'm playing
You
pool.
listening to Tool because you got to rake the leaves?
Yes. Duh. You don't?
I mean, I
Every
would.
year when I order the pea gravel
Mm.
and the dirt for the garden, because I order like yards of it, I listen to that, what is it, 16 Tons song?
Yes. Tennessee Ford. Classic.
Nice. National Garden Month makes sense because we're also like, it is fall spring, but I am cleaning the gardens and getting things ready to go. So
Yeah.
You should have already planted.
Getting the stakes in the...
You got to be like me. My whole basement is a friggin' grow room right now. My neighbors think I grow drugs, but actually it's just a whole lot of zucchini.
Plant babies.
I've got my 2 greenhouses set up and cleaned out. It is also National Poetry Month. Do you have a favorite poet? Anybody?
I
I'm
don't
gonna
do poetry per
say
se.
Mother Goose is a poet.
I dabbled in haikus for a bit, but other than that, I don't really fuck with poetry.
A refined individual, I am not. If I sat for a long time and really had to think back, maybe I could come up with it.
Yeah. When I do hear poetry, I usually don't pay attention to the poet's name to remember it. So
Well, being the elder goth that I am, of course, Edgar Allan Poe has to be at the top of the list, right?
Well,
And
there's a
Ba-
shock.
there.
Right. And
Yeah,
Baudelaire. I've read a lot of Baudelaire. And that's my 2 favorites, honestly. You could put Browning in there, but that's kind of like a gimme.
I'll do some research. Who do I listen to? Let's see. When's the last time I was able to read a book? No, I got nothing. I got nothing.
And of course, I think this is also appropriate, considering certain things going on currently, current events. This is also a stress awareness month. So,
Oh, hell yeah. I'm aware of stress.
Oh, I am so aware. I am painfully aware.
Yeah. I don't think anybody could be more aware.
and lastly, and I'm just going to cover these very quickly because we'd already, like, back when we were part of that network, I believe we had a whole like April Fool's thing that we cross promoted within the network, and everybody kind of took pieces of it, and Mission Spooky had done our part. And so without getting like massively into the origins of April Fools, because that's not what today is about. Do you guys even know though? Do you know like where it comes from?
No.
A sick urge to make me feel insecure.
Okay.
I hate April Fool's Day. I am a generally untrusting person, and April Fool's Day was always the worst for me. It was a whole day. I would stay home from school because I would have such
Damn.
anxiety that every single person was lying to me that day.
April Fools is such a thing in my life. I don't think anybody's ever played an April Fool's prank on me or anything like that.
Dude, my grandparents, every fucking April Fool's Day, my grandmother would pull some kind of prank on me. Misery. Hated it.
My son is very intrigued by April Fools, so I'm gonna let him have his little fun because he's only 9. So it's like, yeah, just go for it.
Prank me, bro.
Okay, so there's 3 theories actually on why we call it April Fools. One is called the calendar shift theory, that in the 16th century, France transitioned from Julian to Georgian calendar, changing the New Year date from April 1st to January 1st, and those who continue to celebrate on April 1st were dubbed April Fools. At least that's what NPR says. So, we're going to go with it.
Wow, fun.
The other one is, and I heard this one. I think we actually covered this one a little bit at way back. The Roman festival of Hilaria was held in late March, which involved masquerades and playful antics, and that some people feel like that it got transferred over into April Fools in some way. And then the last one the literary reference theory, which is the first known reference, dates to 1561 in a Flemish poem by Edward de Dane or de Dana. I don't know. I didn't look it up, to be honest with you.
The Dene.
De Dene, depicting a
She
nobleman
doesn't
sending.
get that joke, Cord.
No, I do not.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I know. It's a Pokemon.
Damn it. Okay, a nobleman sending his servant on foolish errands on April 1st. And that's kind of funny that it is also National Poem Month. So maybe there's some truth to that somewhere. Or at least
Sure.
that's how we feel about it. I don't know.
I need you to go to the store and get me the medium cream.
That is exactly, that's the kind of shit that I could do to my husband. That would be funny. And he would believe it. He might believe it. He'd be like, yeah, sure, babe. It's right between the light cream and the heavy cream. Come on. You don't see it?
We're allergic to the light and the heavy. It has to be medium cream.
Yeah, Dougie's not allowed to have the other two anymore. Yeah, he's got to have medium cream.
And make sure when you ask one of the female store workers, because the guys won't get the joke. You'll have the whole fucking store out there looking for medium cream.
Exactly. I was also thinking something super dirty, like,
Oh no, I was just
I know, but after the fact, I got the whole medium cream joke, and then I thought, wow, that's kind of like when you're not, you don't do it all the way. Get kind of stuck between nothing and God. I've been reading a lot of smut lately. Send your smut recommendations to Mission Spooky Podcast, all one word, @gmail.com. Oh man, that's not an April Fool's joke. All right, Cord, I dedicated this episode to you, buddy, because you were sick the last week when we did Elfrith's Alley. So I thought I would do something special for you.
Sick.
And today's episode is Mysterious Legends of April, except one of them is an airship, one of them is a ship, and the other one is a ghost ship. Yeah, that's right, buddy. I got you covered. I know
Hell
how
yeah.
much you love nautical bullshit, but also it's an airship because I thought it was kind of cool.
I'm in.
and we all know how much Kayla loves the ocean.
Yeah, these are reasons why not to like the ocean. Again, as if we don't need another episode of that, but we will be. We'll definitely be doing another episode of why not to like the ocean this summer.
Coming soon, jellyfish.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mean the oarfish and pretty
Yeah.
much nothing else?
Yeah, right. Yeah. The manatee.
And the
I'll come up
manatee.
with-
Yeah.
You're not fucking looking deep enough.
This is the mysterious airship of 1897. And the best
All right,
way
now
to,
is this before the airship was invented?
I knew when I wrote all this out that one of you was going to ask me that question, and I didn't have the answer. But it was 1897, and I thought, yeah, the airship was invented by then. 1852. So the best way to tell this story is breaking it down by the dates and occurrences of things, because it's a really good example of like how back in the day you'd have your newspaper articles and things would get talked about locally, and then they'd start making like national press, and before you knew it, this story kind of blows up. So technically this is often considered to be like the month of April, but when you look back, the first time this shows up is actually February the 3rd, 1897. The first reported sightings of the mysterious airship appear in the Sioux City, Iowa newspaper. The witnesses are near Hastings, Nebraska, describing a floating object around 800 feet off the ground, emitting a bright light before disappearing into the night. And then through that February through April, you're going to see the sightings of the airship continue across Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, and Michigan. And they all describe pretty much the same sort of thing. A large white front light, two smaller lights, one red, the other one white or green, and a cigar-shaped or upside-down schooner design with wings or fan-like projections.
Interesting.
So April the 8th, Davenport Democrat, which had been skeptical of the sightings, reported that the airship had been seen in Belle Plaine, Iowa, flying under apparent control. The object was later reported in Cedar Rapids and Burlington, sparking fears of the Flying Dutchman.
Yar.
Yeah.
Davy Jones himself.
In a fucking rowboat?
In a flying boat.
Okay,
And
I guess the way let me Google. It was shaped like, what is the word that you used? Schooner?
like an upside
Yeah.
down schooner.
You don't know what a schooner is?
Do I look like a kind of person who would go on a fucking boat?
Dude, I'm pretty sure we were on a schooner in Justin's pirate campaign. Oh no, we were on a sloop.
In a real boat?
Yeah. We played that campaign on a real boat.
Okay, so I definitely thought a schooner was small.
Yeah, no.
Why would it be shaped like a fucking cigar?
A cigar-shaped or upside-down schooner design with wings or fan-like projections.
Okay, so it's just a flying fucking cigar.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought this was just like the first iteration of like a Goodwill blimp? And it was just advertising for the cigar companies?
In what did you say, the 1890s?
Yeah, 1897, yeah.
Hang on a sec, I gotta do some quick, let me do some quick math here.
I mean,
Oh no, okay, that was 100 years later. I was gonna say maybe it was like a very pointed comment on the Hindenburg disaster, like a cigar that's gonna like poke into the next one. I'm just running through the options here. We gotta run through our options.
We could cover the Hindenburg disaster. That happened in New Jersey.
Was it caused by a giant flying cigar?
Cigar?
The world may never know.
Maybe.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so anyway, back to April the 8th real quick to recap. It's seen in Belle Plaine, Iowa and Cedar Rapids in Burlington, and then they thought they were seeing the, quote, Flying Dutchman. Then on April the 10th, the airship was seen in Rock Island, Illinois. Police officers described it as flying a half-mile high with a sound similar to an electric motor.
I'm curious as to... So we're talking 1890, Iowa to Illinois. Could you even do that in 2 days with like a regular travel?
Well, on April the 12th, the C. Clinton claimed responsibility for the airship, requesting space at the upcoming Trans-Mississippi Expo in Omaha. He was supposed to meet officials on April 17th, but he never appeared. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's April the 12th. Then April the 13th, hundreds of people in Davenport, Scott County, Moline, and Rock Island reported seeing the mysterious object in the sky with a bright white light flaring as it hovered, disappearing into an approaching storm. Uh-oh.
He's getting away.
Maybe the white light was a fire.
Yeah, then on the 14th, the very next day, reports from Pavilion, Michigan claim the airship exploded in the sky.
Holy smokes.
Whoops.
Witnesses described the bright front light, smaller lights, and propellers before hearing an explosion. The next morning, debris, including a metal coil, a propeller-like object, and small metal fragments were found scattered across nearby farms.
That was the only parts that were found?
Then on April 16th, Waterloo, Iowa claimed to have solved the mystery. A 40-foot airship was found behind a cheese factory with a man named Professor Jorgensen presenting a logbook of his travels. Thousands came to see it, and newspapers reported the mystery solved. However, it was later revealed to be an elaborate hoax by a local businessman who built a fake airship, hired a man named Feathers to play the professor, and staged the entire event.
You guys ever feel like you were born in the wrong time period?
Dude, all the time.
These were honest to goodness con men back in the day. He's not even slinging snake oil yet.
Okay, when I wrote this, because I'm reading articles about it, and I'm just like, okay, this could be a whole other. What the behind a cheese factory? I need to know more about this dude.
Well, I mean, it's better than next to a sex shop
No, actually, that would have worked too. I would have gone in both.
or a landscape. What is it? A landscaping fucking company?
The Four Seasons landscaping. Yes. Oh shit!
It's like the Land O'Lakes fucking cheese factory. He thought he was going to like the Land O'Lakes country club.
I don't know. I just want to know about like a local businessman. Yeah, was he happened to be the businessman who owned the cheese factory, and he had, here's some cheese on your way through to see the airship.
If you just so happen to get hungry while you're here,
right?
Get yourself a nice block of cheddar and look at the airship.
Yeah, exactly. Although that sounds like a fun day to me.
Fucking a great day.
Yeah. It's con man or not, that does sound like a
Justin
good
and I
event.
literally did the same thing a couple weeks ago.
So you got a block of cheese and look at an airship?
We went to the Mercer Museum, so we were looking at
Yes.
fucking old friggin' shoemaking supplies and eating
Yeah.
pancakes.
The Mercer Museum is the
Hell
bomb.
yes. I'd be down for that.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I actually want to go back and do the tour of the actual mansion because I didn't
Yes.
realize you needed to book an appointment ahead of time.
Font Hill.
Yeah, I want to go see
Mhm.
that. There's also an art museum out there that I really
Yes.
want to go to.
James A. Michener Art Museum. Have
But
been to.
yeah,
As well.
Mercer Museum. Other than the gallows, which is really fucking cool that they have, it's not the most interesting of places to be unless you're really into old spoons.
Yeah. I want to do an episode about spoons. Are you kidding me? Spoons are fucked up.
First time I ever heard that sentence uttered.
Well, I'll hand you the research about spoons.
The horrible
okay?
history of scooping.
and all the weird spoons that exist and why. Like, what the fuck? We have a special spoon for a tomato for a reason. It's just stupid. But anyway,
Is a
No,
melon baller technically a spoon?
cup, right? Is it? Is it?
I would totally consider a melon baller a spoon.
Well, maybe we need to go to the Mercer Museum.
I was channeling my inner Sam Rockwell for that one. I hope somebody got it.
Anyway, what happened with the air balloon? And the
Okay,
cheese
wait. I
factory?
just want to also say, I was trying to get this out earlier, is that if you go to the EAA Air Show in Wisconsin, you can actually get a block of cheese and look at airships.
Fuck.
Just saying.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Vacation
the best
trip.
fucking time. I went every year for 13 years in a row. Wisconsin's like my second home. I've said it before. I fucking love planes, man. I mean, I practically grew up in one. So anyway, that was April 16th was the cheese and the airship on April 17th. And I swear to God, if you two forget that, put it on your calendars. I expect something with ships and cheese on April 16th. Okay. You got 15 days.
Okay.
Mission Spooky, if you're following us on Threads, take pictures of your cheese blocks and any kind of airship or airplane. I'll accept it. Send it to me. April 17th was the day that AC Clinton was supposed to show up in Omaha for his meeting, and he never did. Right? So,
Assumingly because he exploded.
yeah. So after the Waterloo hoax was exposed, the sighting stopped. And then everybody was like, well, but did the real airship crash in Michigan? Was it a case of mass hysteria? I don't believe that. I think everybody really saw what they saw. Was the hoax taken too far? I don't think so. I think that was just someone trying to sell cheese with, honestly. I need to look into that. The Davenport newspaper had suggested that this was a result of people drinking too much. So they all saw the same thing. They were all drunk, but they all saw exactly the same. That reminds me of the Kecksburg incident, right? With the aliens, where it's like, oh, you're all drunk, and then they're like, no, we don't drink, but also like, really? What if we all drank? Would we all see the same hallucination? No.
Where were they in terms of aircrafts? And like, is it reasonable that somebody would build an aircraft? Because I honestly don't know. Like, I thought when we started the story, like, I honestly I thought airships were like a made up thing. But is it a reasonable thought that somebody could make a flying machine? Or is this like they have no idea how this thing is in the sky? Okay. Just for the other listeners like me who have no idea how history works.
Yeah. So Kayla brings up a good point. So for people who aren't aware, the first airships were like 1852. And then the first flight, well, I'm sorry. I am one of these people. I am that person. There are other examples of flight. I will not say that the Wright brothers were the first ones to fly, because we have some evidence. I'm not going to go into it, but there is evidence to prove that people in other countries had actually done this before. But as far as just the United States is concerned, and that's not even 100%, because we think someone else did it elsewhere too.
Yeah, didn't they like base their plans off of someone else?
Yes, and like I said, I won't get into that in this episode at all, but just enough to say that at least in your brain, Kitty Hawk is 1903. Okay, December 17th, 1903. to be
So
precise.
we're looking at that design.
So it's very possible in 1897 someone could have been experimenting on building an airship, because that's already been in the books since 1852 at this point. And people are very heavily experimenting with aircraft building at this point, especially in the US.
They're close.
Yeah, they're very close. I mean, 1897 and 1903 and even before that. So it is fascinating. I like the story. I think it's really cool. I think it's a part of like our history that gets lost. That nobody really talks about this, but yet there's plenty of newspaper articles about it.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I'll read like a little blurb here. The Davenport Democrat that was mentioned, April 4th, 1897. It says, no summer hotel and health resort will be considered recherche this summer unless it has a mysterious midnight airship for the entertainment and stimulation of its guests. The sea serpent is in the swim no longer.
They had a good writer.
Are they making the implication that the sea serpents are now in the sky with the ships?
Yes. The other Davenport Morning Star, April 9th, 1897's Phantom of the Night. That's great. That's the big words. Wandering airship appears high in the heavens. Veritable, quote, Flying Dutchman of the air seen at many places. Scares a lot of people. Chases through the air on the line of the BCR&N railway. Ghostly vision will not down. Okay, that's not quite as exciting. Okay. The Davenport Democrat is like the place to read a lot of this stuff. It's great. Now it is a member of the Rock Island and police force who claims to have seen the mysterious midnight airship. It was half a mile overhead, made a noise like an electric car, and was moving north of east. It was soon out of sight. We trust that if any member of the Davenport force gets him, spelled exactly like that, gets him that bad, he will at once be removed and placed in an institution where he can have proper care.
Fair enough.
The Davenport Democrat is not playing, man. They're like, you need help if you keep seeing this shit. And then one of the last ones, was it here? Question mark. This is kind of like after everything has been died down. Hundreds of people swear that they saw the airship. One or two distinguished its outlines, but many persons saw its brilliant light. There are others who talk about stars and such things. A lot of fun, guys. And you probably have never heard of that before. I certainly had not.
No, absolutely not.
All right. We're going from ships of the air to the sea for the next two. Okay. I'm going to go with the older one first. And this one is, well, as I always say, I'll get into it. The Ourang Medan mystery. Do you know about this ship at all?
Did it transport orangutans?
It
No.
sounds like it should, right? Because it's
my first thought went to Ourang Pendek.
Right?
That's because of the cryptid shit.
Yeah, it is spelled. It is that Ourang Medan. So you're on the right track there. So I'll tell you the tale of this ship. It is one of the most gruesome and mysterious maritime legends.
Oh boy.
The story tells of a Dutch freighter found adrift in supposedly April of 1947, with all crew members dead, their bodies contorted in horror with eyes wide open and mouths agape. The chilling final SOS message sent is, "I die." It then exploded and sank, which further fueled the legend. And depending on the story, it would have been found, right? Someone would have gone, like they got the SOS message, "I die." And someone went on the ship. They started the investigation. They see all these dead bodies. Even the dog is dead with his mouth hanging open, its eyes open.
Yeesh.
Yeah, it's like terrible, right? And as they're towing it, it explodes and sinks. And so the mystery is just like no one knows what happened.
Where does it say where they found it?
Well, that's the interesting part. And this one is how legends start, how things go awry, and how we need to be very careful about like misinformation in general.
Sounds like a friggin' gas leak or something.
This story has been scrutinized, many believing that it's nothing more than an elaborate urban legend. And after carefully investigating the available sources, a woman named Estelle from the Skittish Library blog discovered evidence suggesting that the story is a modern fabrication. And here's how the story evolved and how the misinformation spread. So the genesis of the story is that it appears in the Dutch-Indonesian newspaper Die Lokomotief. So that story appears in 1948. The article detailed an SOS message sent by the ship in distress and the discovery of the crew's bizarre death. The incident allegedly took place about 400 miles south of the Marshall Islands. The story spread continues through various publications, including the English language Proceedings of the Merchant Marine Council that was published in 1952. But despite the compelling details, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
Okay.
Glaring one, the one that should be like a no-duh moment, is there is no official record of this ship.
Oh.
There's no registry for the Ourang Medan, and the ship's mentioned in the story, the Silver Star is mentioned as the boat that, the rescue boat, is misidentified and misrepresented in later versions of this story. There's conflicting locations. The position of the ghost ship kept changing from Solomon Islands in 1940 to the Marshall Islands in 1948, and then to the Straits of Malacca. So that's a lot of geographical inconsistency.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Straits of Malarkey, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
Got him.
Oh, yeah. And I'll get into the different articles and how that progresses too. So Estelle uncovered the British newspaper article from 1940, which is, several years before the suggested timeline for the story, which is 47 to 48. And I'll read that news article real quick to you guys after I'm done here. And then the role of Silvio Scarli. He's the key figure who spreads the story, right? He's an Italian journalist who's based in Trieste, and he was the source of many of the versions of this story. But if he had reported it in 1940, it of course raises questions about how he could later claim to have, quote, discovered it in 1948. Like, did you just forget that you wrote the 1940 story, bro?
He was going through his files one day and goes, oh, hey.
Pretty much. That's what it felt like.
I cannot talk about it. I die.
This is how the stories get retold. Estelle's article, which I'll link for you guys to read for yourselves, shows how the stories can become distorted. Scarli's embellishments, such as adding details about the crew's grotesque appearance and changing the ship's location, showcase how a myth can be evolved. As the story spreads, it was retold with increasing sensationalism, and stories like these thrive in time of war and intrigue and often take on lives of their own, right? So like 48, it's like after the war. 1940, though, we're just ramping stuff up. So
Yeah, shit's getting real.
yeah, the conclusion is that misinformation can spread very rapidly, especially when it taps into the fascination with the unknown and the eerie. We see this all the time with in the paranormal community. People are just like, oh, it's a ghost. Well, okay, can we just calm down first? Because what if, like, you're saying that this person died here, and then I do the research and find out, like, fucking nobody died here. What the hell are you talking about? This is an ongoing problem. Year 6, and I'm still dealing. Yeah, there's so much to debunk. It's ridiculous. The Ourang Medan mystery likely began as a maritime tale, got fueled with all these extra embellishments and the desire for a compelling narrative. And we talk about that even today, that you need to be very careful about what you read on the internet, because people are more interested in what's compelling and going to get people to clickbait, right? This is the same thing. It basically is a prime example of how folklore and urban legends can be built from a grain of truth. Unfortunately, with this one, we want there to be that grain of truth in the 1940 article, but since the ship was never logged, no one can find the evidence that ever existed. Is that even a grain of truth, or did this guy just make it up because it was 1940? This is a snippet of his original article that Estelle found. Mystery SOS from Death Ship. Unwounded bodies found on deck. Explosions defeated boarding party. An eyewitness account of the last phase of a mysterious sea tragedy has been brought to Trieste by a merchant marine officer who went to the rescue of the steamer Ourang Medan off the Solomon Island last November. So technically this stuff is not even happening in April either. That's why I said it's supposedly. Like, some people will put it in that time frame of like February, April, May, but it actually didn't even occur then. It's November was the original 1940s article. And SOS was flashing from the Ourang Medan asking for a doctor urgently, and later she asked for a warship. This officer found ship's officers and crew dead on the deck with no visible wounds. He had to make a hurried escape when explosions set fire to the ship and burned her to the waterline. We were about 200 miles southwest of the Solomon Islands, said the officer, when we intercepted the following signal. SOS from the steamship Ourang Medan. Beg ships with shortwave wireless to get touch. Doctor, urgent. With our shortwave set, we relayed the call for help. The medical stations in Germany, Rome, and France replied. We informed the Ourang Medan and asked her to transmit her request. That's the article. That's November the 21st, 1940.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that's the Yorkshire Evening Post. Then it says, the unfinished message. The Medan replied with its auxiliary transmitter. Probable second officer dead. Other members of crew also killed. Disregard medical consultation. SOS urgent assistance warship. At this point, the message broke off with words which we failed to make out. Still repeated the Ourang Medan's message with our wireless and annulled the appeal to the medical centers. We made wild guesses at what had happened. Mutiny, piracy, prisoners' revolt. After 16 hours, we sighted a big ship on the horizon. It flew no flag. Sorry, I am reading this directly from the article, so it's a little bit like it's old. It's hard to read. Was listing slightly to starboard and the propeller motionless. From our bridge, we could see it was the Ourang Medan. There was no sign of life on the quarter deck and no reply to our shouts through a megaphone. We launched 2 lifeboats with 8 men in each one and rowed across to the Medan and boarded her. Bodies of sailors were lying about on the deck. We could find no sign of a wound on any of them. Death seemed to have taken them by surprise at their post. On the captain's bridge, we found the body of the second officer. We counted 18 bodies, 3 of them deck officers, but we reckoned the Medan should have had a crew of about 40. I think that's actually 12 bodies. The captain decided to search the officers' quarters, but we heard the explosion in the ship's hold. A column of smoke belched from the second hatchway. We rowed back to our ship. The explosions were repeated at short intervals, so we withdrew to a safer distance. Nothing was left of the blazing hulk of the Ourang Medan, and that is the Associated Press.
This kind of sounds like inspiration for that vampire movie that just came out not long ago. Where they're on the ship coming to the new world and the vampires are just like loose on the ship.
Except that is based off of Dracula, though.
Is it? I never read
Yeah.
Dracula.
Yeah.
It's about, that movie's about the point that they don't go into in the movie.
Yeah, like what happens on the ship. Because that's the name of the ship in Dracula.
I thought it was just a vampire on a boat movie. I don't watch trailers anymore because trailers like give away every part of the fucking movie anymore.
That's why I don't.
I think in that one, though, the only reason you know it's Dracula is if you read it and then you recognize the name of the ship because the Demeter is the name of the ship in the book. But Blood Vessel is a really good movie about vampires on a boat. So go watch that.
Blood Vessel.
Yeah, it's actually pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. The Daily Mirror on November 22nd, 1940 also has a very similar article. I'm not going to read that one. So that's like the original version. And you notice there's a whole bunch of stuff not talked about. The eyes wide, the mouths agape. There's no mention of a dead dog. There's no, it just sort of gets worse and worse and worse. And it also changes positions over time. So we would have to chalk that one up to being fake story.
I mean, what are the chances that a ship goes unregistered in the 40s?
Well, I could also say at that same time period, what are the chances that it can't be corroborated because there's too much going on?
Fair.
So it's a really great story from those angles. Well, of course there's no registration for it. It's something happened and it's the 40s. It's the
Maybe
40s,
Dracula.
But it gets people to buy your newspaper because everybody wants to read that article. And it's AP Press, and so he has some clout.
I mean, it's definitely an intriguing story.
Right? You're like, oh, did you read the Daily Mirror? But I'll let you guys, think about, what do you think about it in general? And now I'm going to tell you a story that's real. And some of you might have heard about this because this happened in 2007. And that is the Kaz II mystery from Australia. Do you know about this one, Cord?
No, not off the top of my head, at least.
You right. You might recognize it when I get into the story. The background is this: the Kaz II set sail for eerie, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, Australia. I'm sorry. I didn't look it up because it looks like eerie to me, and when I was like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's some weird pronunciation, but I apologize in advance. They set sail for Airlie Beach on April the 15th, 2007. So this does happen in April, with 3 men aboard: Derek Batten, 56 years old; Peter Tunstead, 69 years old; and James Tunstead, 63 years old. They were all from Perth, Western Australia. The Tunstead brothers were long-life friends of Batten, and the trip was meant to be a leisurely journey along the Australian coast. Well, no offense to Australia at all, because your country is gorgeous, but I always think, so you just wanted to go somewhere in the water in Australia. Everything in Australia is trying to kill you. How you people manage to survive is a mystery to me. May the gods bless all of you.
When I was in high school, I got the opportunity to go to the Great Barrier Reef, like on a group, like a student exchange thing. And my grandmother was like, "What, you want to get eaten by a fucking shark? Are you out of your mind? You are not going." I'm still very grumpy about the fact that I did not get to go.
The trip was supposed to take them along northern Australia to Western Australia. The first sign of trouble comes on April the 18th when a helicopter spotted the boat drifting near the Great Barrier Reef with no visible crew. Nice segue.
Hey, look at that.
Well,
I'm not saying my grandmother was right, but maybe my grandmother was right.
That's what we call an unintentional segue. Okay. On April the 20th, maritime authorities boarded the vessel and made a eerie discovery. And I cannot remember the name of the show, and I forgot to look it up. If you care to look it up, fine. But William Shatner had done like a
Star
mystery
Trek.
show. No. Yes. But he did like a mystery show in the mid 2000s, and this was covered.
oh, what was that show called? Fuck, I remember watching it.
Yeah. You might have seen this episode, because the thing that got me was like, this is really weird. Like, there's actual footage, and he had interviewed the man who took the footage. That was one of the first people to go on the boat when it was discovered. He was allowed to take all these pictures and videos and stuff, and it was for, the police and authorities and to keep a
Right.
record of what was going on. But they showed that on the Shatner show, and I was like, oh my god, like, I couldn't imagine like how fucking weird it would be to just step on a boat like that and be like, what happened here? Because
Nobody's
nothing
here.
really made any sense, and it was eerie. So the yacht is found in good condition, as if the crew had just stepped away. Food was set on the table, a laptop was turned on, and the engine was running. You see that in the video too that I was just talking about. Like, the laptop is shown and it's on. The emergency systems, including the radio and GPS, are all functional. A dinghy was still attached to the boat, and the anchor was raised. The sail, though, was shredded, and there was no visible life raft, although later reports say that they honestly aren't sure if there ever was one. So we can't,
Right.
During the forensic investigation, the yacht gets towed to Townsville for examination. There's no signs of a struggle, nothing indicating foul play, no forced entry. Personal items were undisturbed, aside from some minor shifts due to towing. A firearm is found under a bed with all ammunition accounted for, and there is a video recording from April 15th showing the men still alive and relaxing on the boat.
And when was the boat found? What day?
April 18th. Yeah, they had set sail on the 15th, right? So the video recording is of the day they left, and they're already at sea and they're having a great time. So search and rescue efforts begin on April 18th. They got aircraft and they have boats scouring the entire area, because they don't know if they just went missing now, like in the last few hours, or if it was the
3
day
days
of.
ago.
I don't know. Infrared scanning is used at night to detect bodies in the water. GPS data helped narrow down the search area, so that was actually they kind of knew, pinpointing exactly where the boat had been. Made it a lot easier A survival expert determined the men likely went overboard on the 15th or the 16th. The search is officially called off on April 25th after no trace of the men is found. I mean, at that point, they're also looking for bodies, right? Because you're not lasting that long. An inquest is held with witnesses and testimony. That's in August of 2008. Quite a bit of time has gone past, but they do their due diligence. They've got Jennifer Batten, who's the wife of Derek Batten. She testified and said that he was very experienced and always well prepared. There's evidence of that on the boat, right? I mean, he had all his provisions, everything's there. Graham Douglas, they interviewed him. He was the previous owner, confirmed that the boat was in good condition before he ever sold it. So they kind of ruled out that, plus the boat was in good condition when they found it.
Right.
Gavin Howland is a commercial skipper. He reported seeing the Kaz II drifting with a torn sail on the 16th, but did not investigate. This also corroborates then the survivalist saying that he felt as though something had happened sometime between the 15th and 16th. Like pretty much the day of or the morning after they set sail. Sergeant Paul Malloy confirms no evidence of foul play at all is found in the boat. Detective Sergeant Graham Patch analyzed the video and concluded the crew vanished shortly after filming. He did that by looking at the positioning of different items could be seen on the boat when they got on the boat. So that was really, I mean, that in itself was kind of a miracle that there was this recording that was left on the boat and then the recording that the man took, that I told you guys about, right? So they could use both recordings and look and see what had moved, what was changed, was something out of place. It was brilliant. And one of the things they noticed was that in the video, this guy's wearing a shirt and his sunglasses, but yet when the boat is found, his shirt is and his sunglasses are left on the table. That's eerie in itself because you're like, man, he was alive. He took his shirt and sunglasses off and put them inside and then just disappeared off the face of the planet. Like, what the hell? So there's different scenarios, though.
Big wave.
That is a theory. That is one of the theories.
They all went swimming and they all forgot to put the ladder down.
The old King of the Hill episode.
Well, that one it would have to be what's called a freak wave or a sudden squall because there were life jackets and this captain is experienced. Batten. He's not the kind of person, and there's a lot of, speaking to friends and family, he's not the kind of person who's not going to put that stuff on. He takes the safety of the people on his boat and himself and his safety very seriously. So whatever happened would have to happen so quickly that it wasn't possible for them to put on a safety item, which was available.
Hear me out. A flying cigar-shaped fucking schooner descends from the sky and asks them if they want to go for a ride. They all hop on and are never seen again.
I blame aliens.
I'm surprised that you're not blaming the thing that everybody blamed in the William Shatner show.
Aliens.
No. No.
Was it William Shatner?
He needed material for his new show. 7 years in advance or whatever it was.
What did William Shatner do? Who did he blame?
Well, I like his show because it's always so funny. Like, you watch these things and I, as the scientist, I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. And then they have the scientist come on and the scientist is like, this is fucking bullshit. And I'm like, okay, thank you, William.
If I had to actually guess,
I
would say big wave, depending on depending on how things had moved.
But the sail was torn.
Can a wave not knock the boat and potentially tear a sail?
I mean, it'd have to be a hell of a wave, I would think.
Let me tell you
what about a big gust of wind?
That's a sudden squall. Yeah, so the freak wave or sudden squall theory is a strong wave could have knocked all three of them into the water. The torn sail suggested rough weather may have played a role. However, the most accepted theory and the one that was put forward by the forensic analysis of the boat, etc., is that one man may have fallen in while trying to untangle the fishing line. Why do we know that? Because, well, there was fishing line that was there, and What's the last thing that they were filmed doing was fishing. Another person went in to help them, but also fell in. The last crew member then attempts to rescue them, but may have also ended up overboard. Without anyone aboard, the boat continued adrift. And they had said that given the different positionings of the people in the final video, this is probably the unfortunate and real ending to all three of them. That it was a situation where someone was fishing, someone goes in overboard, they're trying to grab them, but the boat is actually moving too quickly. It could take a matter of seconds before that person is like way out of reach. And then the other person may have tried, like, actually they think that Batten is the one who may have been knocked into the sea by the sail. And yeah, that's a very interesting theory of why possibly, like, if there were some high winds coming in, a little bit of a choppy sea, the what is that called? This is the boom, like how the sail could, he might have been trying to like tie it up or move it, and it actually smacked the shit out of him and he fell in. If that happened, he could have been unconscious too. So
yeah,
very unfortunate. But of course, in every mysterious disappearance at sea, I feel like there's always that camp of people who are going to mention, and Cord, I'm very disappointed in you because you're the cryptid expert. Or the cryptid enthusiast, I should say.
Are they going to say it was the Kraken?
Yes. Yes, some people have suggested that a giant squid could have pulled the men overboard. This idea comes from accounts of squid attacks on boats. Of course, there's no hard evidence to support that in this case.
How about orcas?
I feel like there would have been damage to the boat.
If I can find it, there was a really crazy video that someone had posted of a giant squid, assuming it was a giant squid. 'Cause I thought you could see it in the video, where it's just kind of like sticking the feelers up around the boat. No damage to the boat at all. Just massive thing comes up and tries to like feel around. But I don't know if there's a video or if I'm thinking about reading an article, but I do remember this guy definitely talking about it and saying that this massive tentacle came up and around. And of course you're like, holy crap, right?
Right.
He was able to duck out of the way of it. And his thing was because he's a fisherman, and he's like, what I know of anything like this is once that sucker is on you, it is going to be very difficult to get rid of it. He's talking about, he showed these, like he put his hands up and was like, the rings were like this massive, right? So we're talking like almost the size of his head, big. That's how big this tentacle was that came up. That's the suckers were the size of his head, right? Freak the hell out. And once the thing didn't get what it was looking for, it just disappeared. See ya.
That's especially scary because a lot of squid also have hooks in their suckers.
Yeah.
That'd be akin to getting suckered and meat hooked at the same time.
Yeah. And because we know that they taste with their hands, yeah, they're looking for something to eat, and they see a boat and they're like, oh, what's this? And they touch the boat, and so the question then was in the, either it was a video or an article, I'll try to find it. The question then was from this guy, if this thing had managed to grab me, I probably would have been pulled over. I'd be dead. And the only thing I could think of was, don't let it touch you, because your food, the boat is not food. If it just touches the boat or pulls anything off the boat, like plastic or whatever, it'll probably just leave us alone because it won't sense that there's anything here that's edible.
Right.
So yeah, sure, it's fun to talk about.
An interesting theory.
Unfortunately for these three gentlemen, I think it was just a very tragic accident, and it just sucks because you're like, man, I just wanted to go fishing. And I get that because I love to fish. And I'm like, man, I just want to go fishing.
I choose to believe they're up there in the sky somewhere, rowing their giant cigar to the heavens.
Well, there was one other, there's these little bumpers that you put down when you're going to be boarded. Those bumpers were out, as if they might have been either dock, because you put them out when you're going to dock at a wharf, or if you're going to like have someone dock with you so that your hulls don't touch each other.
Right.
Right, because that would make you gay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know anything about boats. I believe the ocean is an abomination.
I thought you were going to say that the ocean is bisexual. Maybe it is.
I don't think the ocean has a sexuality because it is a primordial beast hell bent on taking back all the power the land has over it.
I don't think the ocean discriminates personally, but
No, I don't think so either. It just takes and it takes and it takes. Oh, I just got a lot of like lines from films. The concern over the bumpers being put out was laid to rest because many people in that area where they sailed out of were like, nah, that's sometimes we
That's
just
dumb.
leave them out. Yeah, well, really, they're like, it's just sometimes we'll leave them out. Like, it's not really.
bump into
Don't.
nothing.
They're like, go take pictures of any of the boats out there right now, and they just have them out. Like, that's not enough evidence to support because there's nothing else here that if they've been boarded. First of all, they weren't really anybody worth kidnapping. No offense to them. We're not talking about like, you know, someone super famous. I don't think they're that wealthy. And also, like, all their stuff was still there. The laptops, the phones, the video, like everything else was still there. So piracy's kind of ruled out.
Interesting theory, though.
Anyway, April Fools, bitches.
Cool. You're like April Fools. I didn't say anything true in this. This is
Oh
all
man,
made
I should have pulled like a Jonathan Frakes. Then that would have come full circle with my Star Trek references. Hell yeah. You'd be like, is it based? Have you seen that meme? That gif where
Yes.
it's like, this is based. Is this based?
Riker.
I love Jonathan Frakes so much. He went to school around here. We love him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, goddamn.
He's a Pennsylvania treasure.
Lehigh University.
He went to Liberty High School in 1970. Yeah, he's one of ours. We claim him.
Local boy.
I mean, he was born in Pennsylvania too, so he's a PA boy. We love our Jonathan Frakes here. Nobody better say nothing bad about him. We'll beat you up. It's plain and simple.
I mean, I loved him before I knew he was local, so hell
Right?
yeah.
I know, right? But then it just got like super awesome because then he was local.
So we got Riker.
It's kind of like Bradley Cooper. Like, nobody better say nothing bad about Bradley. I will punch you in the throck. Did I ever tell you guys that Bradley and I were born in the same hospital, but just 3 years apart?
No.
No,
Yeah, now you know. Knowing's half the
because I
battle.
don't think I've ever asked about Bradley Cooper ever.
That's fair. That's a fair.
Or thought about
Yep.
Bradley Cooper ever.
I think about Bradley Cooper at least once a week. It just
I think
pops
he
in
did
there.
a great job as Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah,
That's
he
all I
did.
got. That's the only care I give about Bradley Cooper.
Man, this episode has been good for me. I got some Jonathan Frakes in there with a bass. I got some Sam Rockwell in there because I also think about him at least once a week. And I mentioned Bradley Cooper, so we're good.
You just
There's
need
my
some
tops.
Tom Hiddleston. It'll make your fucking day.
Dude, you know what? Yeah.
You brought it up. Here comes the next tangent.
Nope. I got no tangent.
Okay.
It's different. It's different. Tom's really handsome. And that voice.
She's just
that's
closing her eyes and going off the fantasy land. She doesn't
Mhm.
want to talk to us about what's going on now in the head.
I don't know what's going on.
Actually,
Talks about how much porn she's been reading.
Actually, most of that is Asterion related. Okay, let's be real. Let's be real. That's what's going on. I'm still in the process of buying the fucking computer. So I have to live through
See, I think
pictures.
that the voice actor for Astarion is more attractive than
Oh,
Tom Hiddleston.
Dude, yeah, I kind of, yeah.
He's
think
got
he
the
sounds like a-
personality. He's just a little cutie patootie. I love him
Oh
so
my
much.
Yeah,
God.
he seems like a cool guy.
I know, right? Like, let's all hang out with Neil. Let's go find Neil and go hang out with Neil.
The thing is, he probably would. He'd be like, hell yeah.
Right? I've watched some of his stuff with the playthroughs, and he's just so fucking adorable. Oh my God.
He's so excited to play himself.
I know, it's adorable. Oh shit. Okay, so anyway, That's all I have. I
just Neil a while.
So the things that I cut out that you can receive, I'll talk about later. But there are a lot of things were cut out. There was some talk about Bradley Cooper and Jonathan Frakes, Bruce Willis. I met Dan Rockwell. I'm on a roll. All my favorites. And then we got a Tom Hiddleston. We talked about Neil Newberg.
I haven't spoken to anybody outside of work for like 2 weeks. All right.
Pretty much the only people I talk to are my 9-year-old, my husband, and my mom right now. It's just because and you. Well, I missed you because you were sick last week. No offense. Not offended that you were sick, I guess.
Well,
how dare you, Cord?
Thanks for that. Did you want me to do in the intro like, your host? That wouldn't have been. I don't think that would have been good air. That's.
Kayla is still not feeling well. She just muted herself. Cord, I expected you with your 102 fever to get on the fucking mic.
Dude.
You just need a lozenge. I feel a lot better since I got this fucking Victory
my
lozenge.
bad. I should have just had a fucking cough drop for my 102 fever for 3 days.
Anyway, on that note, the featured music this week is by... Okay, so first of all, this is one of those that I gushed a little bit when I got a response back, like, right away, because Ghost Cop is one of my favorite bands right now. And it's also one of those that, like, for a change, Spotify been doing pretty good with pushing things to me that actually make sense. I know some people don't like Spotify. I get it. I do. But I find a lot of people through this. So the first song that got pushed to me was A Shot in the Dark by Ghost Cop. That is a 6-minute long song. I'm following them on Instagram. They were like, thank you so much to all these people, these new followers and stuff, and people listening, like, out the ass on Spotify to A Shot in the Dark, because that song is 6 minutes long and you guys are listening to the whole thing. Like, super awesome, right? But my personal favorite right now is a song called Trouble. And so I asked him if it was okay if I play Trouble. And so they're already getting a lot of exposure through Spotify for A Shot in the Dark, but I love them to death. And I love the fact that they were like, hell yeah, you can play our music. And they're just super fucking awesome. So fucking cool. So I will say this announcement, though, since this is going to be April 1st, the next show that you'll be able to see them, and you'll have plenty of time, is June 5th at 8 p.m. at the Bowery Electric in New York. Okay, so y'all go check them out because they're totally worth it. It's kind of like dark wave, post-punk. Absolutely love everything about them. So anyway, you're going to listen to Trouble by Ghost Cop. And when we come back, Spooky Squad news and stuff. Welcome back, guys. So, all the stuff that I cut out, that is available on Patreon at the $1 level. And that's called our boober reels because we're lame.
Yeah.
We're so nerdy. Boober reels. And at the $1 level, you're also going to get access to all of our archived episodes where it was just me and JC first starting out with some states, things that we were doing, like extra episodes for. All of those should be available by now because they're already done. I'm just going to throw the rest of them up there. And of course, you get a shout out on the cast. And that's only at the $1 level. $3 level gets you stat block cards for the Cord versus Cryptid and access to Kiki's quirk stuff. We did some series on magic things, and hopefully I'll be able to do a couple more of those because there were a few more things that I wanted to cover. We had done like feathers and magic and bones and a couple other things that are like related to magic and how they work. So that was a series that we're doing. And then at the $5 level, you are just supporting us to possibly save up enough money to go somewhere to do a ghost hunt.
Hell yeah.
Maybe a trip to like the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, that doesn't. The amount of money that we've saved
Or
so far
a trip
does
to
not pay.
the Wisconsin Air Show. Get some cheese.
Well, the amount of money we have saved so far over the past 6 years would maybe pay for one plane ticket to Australia. Just the one. I fly at 10% though, so I won't need one of you guys would get to go. That wouldn't pay for anything else. We'd be totally screwed. We could live off. I would say we could live off the street and the land, but it's Australia, and the land's definitely trying to kill us. So that's a no-go.
We'll tell spooky stories for food.
Right. We could do that. Oh, shit.
One of our dear listeners would like to host us.
Oh, you know what? At least here's the thing, though. I don't know that I have anybody in Australia that could possibly host us, but I definitely have people in Scotland and England.
I have a couple people in Australia that might take me in for a bit.
Okay. My one friend has twin babies right now that lives in southern Australia, and I don't like South Central-ish Australia. And I would never be like, oh, I'm coming over. You're babysitting. You're babysitting the twins if you're coming over so that my wife and I can go. I would, though, in a heartbeat. Those babies are so cute. Anywho, and anything you sign up for, you get special places on our Discord channel to hang out and to talk to us specifically and talk to each other. So I'm trying to build that Discord community. If you want to catch anything we're doing or saying, mostly it's me complaining about the world on Threads. I am on Blue Sky, but I haven't decided exactly what I'm gonna do with that besides advertise for us. I'm thinking about just funny memes on Sky. It's just cool over there. Everything's like real chill. And we are on YouTube. By the way, I have to start reminding myself to do a special YouTube thing like, hey, don't forget to press that like button and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Wow, thank you. Actually, I'd be surprised if this is on YouTube because I am so far behind. Wow. It's probably 2026 by now, is what I'm saying. So, hey, from a year ago, thanks for listening. I just forgot that we have a YouTube channel. I did. We have followers on there. I should probably load the rest of that up. Take this part out. Remind yourself to fucking do that. You need to do that. Okay. Ay. So I'll reiterate, new D&D podcast coming out. Hopefully, we're scheduling it for October. If I can get things done, it might come out just a little bit early, but see. And Tales of Thurn is on hiatus right now, but I was in season 3, 4, and 5. 6 is coming out. We start recording this summer, which may be the last season. Disappointed. Thought we were going to go longer than that, but it might be the last season. So go back and listen. And that's it. That's all I got for. Thanks again for listening. Without you guys, we would not be doing this anymore because there'd be nobody listening. There'd be no point. But we actually have a tremendous amount of listeners. It makes me very happy. Doesn't always translate to money, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Right, guys? Right? We're not in it for the money.
I get paid in validation.
Exactly.
I do this for
You
fun.
know, send in your emails if you think I'm annoying as fuck.
Yeah, send in your validation, please.
Like and subscribe on YouTube. That makes us happier.
I don't care if you like me or not. I just do this for fun.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is definitely this is just a fun, exciting thing that we get to do. We get to meet new people too occasionally, so that's pretty cool.
Shout out to the Hats boys.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. All right, so taking us out once again today is Ghost Cop with their song Trouble. And again, their next show is going to be on June 5th at 8 p.m. at the Bowery Electric in New York City. And then they are off to the West Coast after that. So, catch them in NYC before the summer's over. And as always, stay spooky. Don't die, but if you do, contact us
With an SOS message that simply says, I die.